What do you want? Storm silver ore. All right. Let's see. What do you need? Bot rampage. Oh, I want to do this one with that other quest. Oh, that's right. I need to get the chests. Spring-loaded tabby. Let's see, which one do I... was it this one? Oh yeah, it is Toys Like Us. Okay. See, Dre, you should get yourself a computer, man. Come play some World of Warcraft. It's actually kind of entertaining. How much do I need? I need 18, just well, 17, no, 18 something. 1842 I need for rep. Oh, Tarantula's up. Or Arachnoid. We're gonna get Arachnoid. New ban list. Never heard of it. I'm gonna go kill this giant spider first. Seeing me as a gnome is so goofy. Ow! That hurt. Well, that's fast. Still no mount. Been trying forever to get that stupid mount. Never gonna give it to me. What is so big about the new ban list? What got banned or limited? I'm sure they just knocked off all the top tier decks like they usually do. There's another chest. I'm so short. Like me, I'm stuck in the water. I'm so short. Look at this weed. Apparently I'm still in battle. Let's go see if Rust Feather's there. Probably not. Nah. Well, I can scan creatures. Let's go scanning creatures for a little while. Invoke's got... Well, that was... Yeah. I actually never played against an Invoke deck, but I'd heard that, that they were ridiculously good. So I guess that makes sense. God, I hate that. When I scan the creature and it doesn't give me credit. Well, at least if there was ever a time to get rep, it'd be right now. Oh, dang it! I completely forgot. Oh man, I could have got the plus 10% from Darkmoon Fair. Maybe I'll get 2 more chests because I actually need that oscillator. I'll get 2 more chests, and then I'll actually go to Darkmoon Fair and get the buff. Oh, now Rust is up, of course. I fly away from it and it pops up. Football players been passing away? What football players? Don't tell me. Did Terrell Pryor die? I know that he got stabbed. I think it was Friday night, like late Friday night or early Saturday morning or something. Apparently a woman that he was involved with, I think they were a couple, and she came home really late from the club, like 4 o'clock, and he didn't like that, and so of course they got into an argument, and the argument moved into the kitchen, and she grabbed a knife and whoosh. He initially survived. I mean, is that the guy who died? Last I heard, he was in critical condition, so... I mean, is that what happened? Did he die? I mean, he was able to get to the hospital, so hopefully they were able to help him out. Now I gotta go look. After I finish killing this giant bird, I'll go look. Of course, he never gives me his mount either. But yeah, now I gotta go look. Let me see, ESPN. One from a car accident and one from... Oh, wow. Let me go to the NFL homepage here. See if they say anything. Vegas, Schumer. Packers, Lions, Cards, Murray. Yeah, I don't see anything here. At least nothing in the top stories. I know Ron Rivera got fired, the coach from the Panthers, which I think was kind of a mistake. I thought he was a pretty good coach. Yeah, I don't see anything here. Let me just try a regular news source. Let's try CNN. Not the best news source, but... Usually they'll have... Let's see, Momoa. No, I don't see anything. Here we go, sports. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. That's kind of odd. Because they would usually... I mean, if somebody... Oh, NFL.com, that's true. I can go there. Yeah, because it would be kind of unusual for them to not put that kind of stuff on the front page. Let's see. Eli, Arias, 49ers, Lamar, Rookie of the Year, Pharrell and Jeremiah. What's trending? Analysis. Yeah, there's nothing here, man. Surprisingly, there's not even anything here about Terrell Pryor. Which, I mean, I know he's not like a superstar, but he's at least well known. Power rankings, Rookie of the Week, game highlights. Yeah, I'm seeing nothing, dude. Nothing at all. Let's see, let's just go straight to news. Yeah, nothing here either. I don't see anything, man. I'll just do a broad, let's see, NFL Player dies. Former NFL player stand out. Oh. George Atkinson's open up banging fellow brothers. Ah, okay, here we are. It's kind of weird that just doing a broad search on Google will bring that information up, but yet I go to the sports sections of news outlets and I even go to NFL.com and it's not there. You'd think that would, be at least somewhat newsworthy. So George Atkinson III. Oh, and then Charles Rogers. Yeah, I heard about Charles Rogers. I heard about that guy. Oh, and Cedric Benson. That was back in. Cedric Benson died back in August. And the reason why I remember hearing specifically about Cedric is he played at Texas. He was a Longhorn. So I wasn't a huge fan of him, but you know how it is, local Texas school. You always want to kind of keep up with the players from the school, even though I didn't, really go search around for him. Whenever they mentioned his name, I'd be like, oh yeah, Cedric Benson, I remember him. Yeah, Cedric died. He died in a motorcycle accident. Apparently, if I remember correctly, and this could be wrong, he died in the accident, but he was wearing a helmet. Apparently, he was wearing a helmet, but he still cracked his head on the ground so hard that even the helmet couldn't save him. I think that's how it was. But yeah. Yeah, it can be rough, man. One day you're in the NFL, and before you know it, a year's gone by, and you're out of the NFL, and you don't have a job, and it can be rough, man. Because they once you know you're going to go to the NFL, you could get, people hype you up. People are like, yeah, man, you're going to be great. You're going to be. That's what happened with Johnny Manziel. Do you know who Johnny Manziel is? He used to be the quarterback for the Texas A&M Aggies, and his big claim to fame is they called him Johnny Football because he could just do it all. He could throw, he could run, he could do everything. He was just a great college player. And his big claim to fame was that he, at the height of their power, was able to defeat Alabama one year. It was Alabama's only loss, but the Aggies were able to defeat them. And so everybody was like, whoa, Johnny Football, he's going to be huge. And he got drafted, and he went to the Cleveland Browns, which is not always good. But yeah, people, they kept hyping him up, and he kept thinking he was everything and all that, and unfortunately he went to the NFL and he saw the game was really different there. He was like, oh crap, these guys are bigger and faster and stronger. Yeah, I don't know if he was an alcoholic, but yeah, that was a big problem of his. He would party way too much. And because, his rookie contract was actually pretty rich. Because if I remember correctly, he was like the 10th pick or something. I can't remember exactly which pick he was, but I think he was in the first round. And generally, if you get picked in the first round, you're gonna even though you're a rookie, you're still gonna see a pretty nice payday. Obviously, the earlier you go, the bigger the payday. But even at 10, you're gonna see some good money from that. And so he got paid, and he went out and just started doing a bunch of stupid stuff, thinking, oh, well, football's gonna be easy. And then it was like, nope. NFL was much harder for him. He did some decent stuff in the NFL, but he just... it was kind of bad that he was in the Browns. Yeah, being on the Browns is not helpful. Yeah, most quarterbacks who started with the Browns, their careers just died. Seriously, go and look at the Browns over the last 17, 18 years, and look at all the quarterbacks that played for them. And look at where they are now. A lot of them are out of the league. They've retired. Most of them have become backups. There's only a handful of really good quarterbacks, or at least decent quarterbacks, that somehow were in Cleveland but then made it out. One of the more notable ones is Colt McCoy. Interestingly enough, he was also a Texas Longhorn. But yeah, Colt McCoy, I always thought he was a pretty decent quarterback. Not amazing, but a pretty good. Pretty good. He's a good backup. He really is. But yeah, he made it out of Cleveland, and he ended up with the Redskins. And he's done a few backup roles for the Redskins there, and he's done as good as he could, because let's face it, the last couple of years the Redskins have not been good. They're just not a good team, and I think that's been his downfall. He ends up on a bunch of bad teams, and so he looks bad. But you can have the best quarterback in the world. It was proven this past, Sunday or Monday night? It was proven you could have the best quarterback in the history of the NFL and still have him look terrible if you don't have a good supporting cast. And that was what happened to Tom Brady. Trent Richardson, that guy was, he was a running back. Yeah, Trent Richardson was a running back. He was hyped coming out of college. I don't know what really happened to him. It felt like he just didn't try. Like, he got to the NFL, he got his payday, and then he just stopped caring. I think that's what happened to him. At least that's what it felt like. Because I know Trent was with Cleveland for a few years, and then he ended up with the Colts. And with the Colts, he did okay. He did all right. He wasn't great. He did okay. Oh my gosh. Look at this guy. Let's blow everything. Here, I'll go and kill this thing. But yeah, that's what happens with a lot of these guys, is sometimes they just want that payday. Because again, if you go in the first round, some of those rookie contracts are pretty rich. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I think Manziel ended up getting something like over 4 years. He got something like $15 or $16 million, which I know by some other standards is not a lot of money, but when you're just a kid coming out of college and somebody says, "Hey, I'll pay you $15 million to come play football for me," I mean, that's a lot of freaking money. And so yeah, that's what happens with some of them, is they just get that payday and they're just like, screw it. Yeah, probably. That's I feel bad for players that happens to, because sometimes I'll see, have you ever watched the NFL draft? Like, actually watched the whole thing, or at least the first couple of rounds? What I notice right off is there's a lot of players who they do like those shots where it shows them in their home or whatever, and they're waiting to hear if they're going to get drafted, that kind of stuff. And of course they've got a reporter there, and the reporter's trying to interview the kid. He's like, "So, you excited?" And the kid's like, "Yeah, I think it's great." And there's like 60 people in his house, and apparently they're all his family. And I'm thinking, I sincerely hope those 60 people don't think he's going to pay for all of them. Because that's, you can't put that on anybody's shoulders like that. Especially someone who's 21, 22 years old coming out of college. That's a lot. Yeah, that's what happens, man. Sometimes the family, they just, you think you can trust somebody, and then before you know it, all your money's gone. Like, there have been a lot of players who have gone through that. Not necessarily their family, but just from poor decisions. Like, remember Terrell Owens? He was a wide receiver. He played for the Eagles, the 49ers, the Cowboys. I think he was on the Bills. One of his last seasons, he was on the Buffalo Bills too. But he actually had a really good career. Like, he'll be a Hall of Famer. Yeah, he'll end up being a Hall of Famer. But even with all the money that he made from all the money he collected, being a player and through endorsements, all that, you know how much his net worth is right now? And I know this because, oddly enough, I looked it up like 2 weeks ago. It's $100,000. That's it. That's how much he's worth. And you got to think, how does that happen? This guy was making millions of dollars. It was kind of his own doing, though. I'm going to hearth back. I want to go get this buff real quick. Anyways, it was his own doing because apparently the guy has like, I'm trying to remember. He's got like 5 or 6 kids from 5 or 6 different women. So he kind of did that to himself. You know, you go around, you mess around like that, and you get a bunch of women pregnant and have a bunch of kids out of wedlock, and, you know, because each of, if I remember correctly, I think he was paying or having to pay each of them, I think it was either $15,000 or $50,000 a month. I think it was $15,000. $50,000 seems like a lot. But yeah, I think it was like $15,000 a month to each of the women for each of the kids. That's a lot of money, man. Over a span of a year, that's... Gosh, I kind of want to do the math on that now. So let's see. I'm going to bring up my calculator, because I'm bad at math. Okay, so $15,000. Let's see, times 12 times 5. That's $900,000 a year just in taking care of his kids, just in paying for his kids. That's it. That's not even counting him even having his own place or his own car or anything like that. I think the same thing happened to Sean Kemp. Do you know who Sean Kemp is? He used to play ball for the Seattle Supersonics. He's long retired. He retired a long time ago. He was a big time player back in like the 90s. But yeah, Sean Kemp did the same thing. And if I remember correctly, that dude went way overboard. I think he's the one I'm talking about. Let me see. Sean Kemp kids. I think it's him. Okay, maybe it wasn't Sean Kemp, because it's saying here that he only had 1 kid. Who am I thinking of? I'm trying to remember who it was. But I remember there was a big-time basketball player who made it big, and he made millions of dollars, but he did the same thing. He went out and messed around with a bunch of women and ended up having like 12 kids. And they ate all of his money. And I'm not saying that's necessarily wrong. I mean, you have a kid, you need to do something for it. Oh. Antonio Walker? That name doesn't sound familiar. Oh, there was here's another one that you probably remember. Dennis Rodman. The Worm. Everybody remembers the Worm. Not only from his basketball days, but from all those times he's been in North Korea. Yeah, man. Dennis Rodman, all his money's gone too. I think he's only worth like $200,000 or something like that. Yeah, all his money is gone. In fact, the last time I heard from Dennis was like a year ago, when he was doing an interview like on CNN or something, and they were asking him, because he's been to North Korea, and he has a friendship with Kim Jong-un. And of course they brought him on. They're like, what's he like? What does he do? What does he talk to you about? And of course Dennis is like, yeah, sure, I'll do the interview. But as Dennis is doing the interview, he has this shirt on, and it says like potcoin.com or something like that. It was basically selling some sort of cryptocurrency. And I imagine that was the plan all along, is that he's like, well, these people are going to ask me to go on their show, and somebody came up to him and said, hey, I'll pay you $20,000 to wear my shirt while you're doing your interview. And he's probably like, hey, $20,000 is $20,000. And so that's what he did. He wore the shirt and probably got paid a certain amount, and there you go. I mean, I'd do it. Because again, $20,000 is $20,000. Trying to think, who else went broke? There's a lot of people that went broke that made millions. O.J. Simpson. he kind of had it coming. And even then, OJ, as broke as people think OJ is, he's actually not that broke. The only problem is that because of all that stuff, he got acquitted, and then he ended up getting sued by the family, and he lost that lawsuit where the courts awarded the I forget what was the name of that family. It was the family of the guy he killed. Or I guess I should say supposedly killed, because he was acquitted. But they won a judgment against him for like $33 million. The thing is, though, if OJ doesn't have any income, then they can't take anything from him. The only form of income he has, I think, were his retirement accounts and his NFL pension, which by law cannot be seized for judgments. And so for years now, OJ has just been living on his pension, really, which is pretty good. I think I remember somebody saying it was like his yearly income from his pension and all that stuff, and his retirement benefits were like $220,000, which is good money. Not as much as he was making, but most people could live fairly comfortably on $220,000 a year. So yeah, all his money was pretty much gone. Tyson. Tyson, again, it's another thing where he kind of did it to himself. After his boxing coach died, his trainer, yeah, things got a little weird for him. He actually recovered, though. He still has money. He did recover because he still gets the occasional advertising deal. He still gets movies. Like he was in what was it? I forget the name of the movie, but he had an action sequence with Donnie Yen. Do you know who Donnie Yen is? Donnie Yen is in a lot of Chinese kung fu movies, and he and Mike Tyson had an action sequence, and it was actually really good. It was really, really good, and I'm pretty sure he got paid a pretty penny for his role in that movie. He's getting back into boxing. I mean, he's scary. He's still scary. I mean, when you think of how good he was, he's still probably got some of that left, but I don't know, the last few fights, like the last few legitimate fights that I saw of his, he just didn't look like he was really into it. Like his heart wasn't in it anymore. He was just thinking, I just want to retire, man. Like he went out, got his payday, and that was pretty much it. Iverson not broke, but he can't touch his money till he's 80. Oh, it's probably a bunch of retirement money. That's probably what it is. Oh, Floyd Mayweather Jr. Floyd Mayweather, he can just, I mean, I understand why he does what he's doing. Like he'll go and he'll do a big fight, he'll get a big payday, and then he says he's retiring, only to come back like a year and a half later and do it again. I understand why he does it, because it hypes it up. Like that one fight that he had, him and Manny Pacquiao, he got a percentage of the take from the pay-per-view from that fight that he had with Pacquiao. And I remember somebody saying that he made like $120 million on just that one fight, and I was like, wow, that's just ridiculous. One fight, $120 million. And I mean, I think to myself, man, I would just call it a career after that. $120 million. But he's probably thinking, well, if I did it once, I can do it again. And that's why he did the fight with that MMA fighter. What's his name? That guy from Ireland. I have to give it up for, I don't like Logan Paul. Obviously, nobody does. But nobody really likes him. But I gotta give it up for the guy, because he showed up in great shape I mean, he looked like he did some serious training. Logan Paul did. The other guy did too. They were both in great shape. They took it seriously. And as far as their boxing prowess, obviously they are amateurs. But again, they took some real training there, man. They actually looked pretty good. You know, obviously not professionals, but I mean, because a lot of times whenever you hear about a couple of celebrities boxing, it's always just like one celebrity just goes and does that little weird flailing thing, and it's kind of stupid, and it's like, ugh, why am I watching this? But not that fight. That Logan Paul KSI fight was actually not bad. I don't think it should have been the main event, but it actually wasn't a bad fight. And on top of it all, I got to give it up for them both, because win or lose, they went to the center of the ring, they shook hands, were like, good fight. Good sportsmanship. I thought that was cool. So I'll give Logan Paul a little respect for that. Logan sneezed 3 times. What color do you hate, buddy? But yeah, that was kind of interesting. He sneezed 3 times. That happens. If you've ever played a sport, especially a full contact sport or a mostly full contact sport like boxing, when I was younger, I actually did some boxing, and it seems like it could be easy until you actually get in the ring, put the gloves on, put the mouthpiece in, and try to do it, and then you realize it's actually really hard. Get away from me, giant spider! No! Leave me alone! Help me! I'm just a gnome! Oh crap, I'm going toward the horror camp. There we go. But yeah, boxing, man, it's rough. Yeah, the funny thing about that fight, the Undertaker Goldberg fight, is it's a fight that nobody wanted, and at the same time, you kind of knew something bad was going to happen, because I like Bill Goldberg. He's a really nice guy. He really is. But he's not a good wrestler. He's not. He's never been a good wrestler. He goes in and he does, if you look at his early career, just go and look at the handful of moves that he had in his early career. He had 4 moves, and that was it. That's all he did. And he would do his 4 moves, and then he would steamroll his opponent, and that was the end of the match. He can't do a long 20-minute match. He just can't. It's not in him. God dang it. Stupid spiders. But yeah, he can't do a long 20-minute match like that. He just doesn't have the talent for it. He's not like Undertaker, who's good at improvising and putting things together. That's not who he is. So you knew Taker was going to be fine, but Goldberg and Taker, no. That was a bad match. It was a bad match waiting to happen. And it happened, and it was bad. Yeah, $275 million actually sounds about right. Because whenever he does his fights now, instead of taking just a standard purse, which most fighters do, if you take a fight, usually the promoters will come to you and say, okay, we'll offer, win or lose, you get $5 million or whatever. He doesn't do that anymore. He's like, no, I want a percentage of the take. And he can demand it and get it because he knows, simply because of his name, that there are going to be a lot of people who buy into the fight. And the fights, they used to be like $50-$60, but I think the fights now, especially with him, are like $100. They're expensive. If you buy into the pay-per-view, they're like $100 now. And of course, if you get 1 million people buying in, $100 each, that's a lot of freaking money. Even when you pay off, the cable companies that provide the stream and all that stuff, and you got to pay off all these other people. There's still a lot of money left. There's a lot of money to be made, and that's not including, any kind of endorsement deals that he may get, in the lead up to the fight. 53-15. I'm pretty close. Stone Cold coming back for one more match. Stone Cold was okay in the ring. He wasn't bad. He had the attitude. That's what he really had going for him. He wasn't a super amazing wrestler. I mean, he was pretty good. He was better than most. But the thing that really sold it was the attitude. He played that character perfectly. I don't know if he'd really even want to come back. Last I checked, his net value was like $50 million. I mean, he's set for life. He's good for life. I guess if you want to come back for one more big payday, I mean, you could do that. Probably ask Vince for like $1 million and probably get it. Because he knows if you put Stone Cold in the headline, people are going to buy in. I still got to do the Toys Like Us. Oh, and the bot rampage. I got to go back to that. But yeah, $275 million for getting in a ring. I kind of... Well, here's the thing. Floyd is... I mean, he's not the smartest man in the world, but he's also not a complete idiot. He knew that if he fought Pacquiao when Pacquiao was at his height, in his prime, that he was going to lose. Pacquiao in his prime was destroying people. I mean, the guy was literally ending careers. You ever heard of Ricky Hatton? If you've never seen the fight between Manny Pacquiao and Ricky Hatton, go look it up and watch that fight. He annihilates Ricky Hatton. And the thing is that Ricky wasn't just an up-and-coming boxer. Ricky was a champion. And he was good. Ricky was really good. And Pacquiao just took him apart. I mean, I mean, by the time the fight was stopped, I remember thinking to myself that I sincerely thought Ricky's career was over. I thought, wow, it's so ugly. Because the knockout, he knocked him down, I think, 2 times. The first time Ricky was able to get back up, if I remember. The second time, it was just ugly. I mean, Ricky was just gone. And that was Pacquiao in his prime. So that's why Floyd never fought him then. Because Floyd knew if he fought him in his prime, he would have... I don't think he would have annihilated Floyd, but Floyd would have definitely lost. Floyd would have lost. So he waited. He waited several more years. He waited till Pacquiao did a few more fights, took a little more damage, until he slowed down enough to where Floyd knew he could just duck and dodge all the big punches and win the fight. That's why he did the way he did. That's why it took so long for that first fight to come to be. Yeah, he does. Pacquiao's still a good boxer. I'm not going to knock him for that. He's still a very good boxer. He just doesn't have... His punches just don't have the same pop that they used to. I mean, again, you look back, 12, 13 years, maybe a little bit longer for Pacquiao, and you'll see that his punches back then, they were insane. I mean, for such a small man, he was insanely powerful. I mean, he was knocking people out left and right. It was actually pretty amazing to watch. Slim versus Mayweather. I'd have to drop a whole bunch of weight to fight him. Yeah, Floyd's not a big dude. Floyd, I think what is he, a welterweight? Yeah, welterweight's like 155 pounds or something, man. Nah, no boxing, no more boxing for me, man. I've taken way too many smacks to the head. Slim versus Slim Jim. I used to box a lot when I was a kid, when I was younger. It was weird because I got into it mostly because my brother pushed me into it. Because my brother's older than I am, and so when we were kids, he would always pick on me, as older brothers do, and he would push me into doing things I didn't really want to do, and one of those things was boxing. Because a friend of ours that lived down the street one day showed up with a couple of pairs of boxing gloves, and there you go. That's how it started. And so, of course, my brother doesn't want to put the gloves on. He's like, no, you do it. And, of course, he pressures me into doing it, so there you go. That's how I got into it. And then I started doing a little bit more, and I mean, even just the exercise from boxing is actually really good, but getting smashed in the head several times is not. So yeah, if you want to work out like a boxer, that's perfectly fine. Just don't go around getting your head smashed in. That's not good. That's going to leave some lasting effects. Versus Mark Zuckerberg? Where did that come from? Both UFC and boxing are very dangerous. But people who get into it and do it professionally, they understand that. They know they could get in the ring one day and not get out unless they were dead. It happens. It's not too often that it happens where somebody literally dies in the ring, but it does happen. Like, there was a guy, I think it was a couple months ago. That's right, there were two of them. There was one guy took a pretty bad beating, and he seemed like he was okay, like he would just need some time off to recover. And he eventually was taken to the hospital, and he went into a coma and eventually died. So I was like, ooh, gosh. And then I think like a week later, a second boxer died. And the thing is, they were both in their prime. They were like in their early 20s. They were like 23, 24. So, yeah, that was really sad. But that happens, man. What's your opinion on the Cybertruck? People give the Cybertruck a lot of hate. I actually like it. I think it looks neat. If I had, $40,000 and I still drove, I would actually think about getting one. I mean, because seriously, when you think about it, it's an all-electric vehicle that has a ton of torque. That's actually, at least in my eyes, I think it looks neat. I think it looks really cool. And they're only asking $40,000 for it. Usually for vehicles like that, companies will ask a lot more money. And I think that's the most impressive thing. Because I'm pretty sure a lot of people thought, oh, well, if he brings out a truck, they're probably going to ask for like $100,000 for it. Is that why Muhammad Ali lost all his memory? Muhammad Ali, he was what they colloquially, I can't even say the word. Basically, the boxing term is punch drunk. You take too many hits. What will happen is your brain literally rattles around in your head, which causes damage. And if that keeps happening to you over, it's basically if you take way too many concussions, which is what he did, then you start to have, obviously start to have problems with your brain. And over time, it just got worse and worse, and it turned into Parkinson's, which is why if you look at all the later videos of him, like a few years before he died, his hands would be shaking and stuff like that. Hardcore Parkinson's. And you know, it's one of those things that happens. That's why if you're going to get into boxing, you know, you really need to think about it. Because, yeah, you may be 20 years old, and you're fit, and you're ready to go, and you're like, I can take a few shots, but by the time you're 40, not going to be real nice. A 2019 version of the DeLorean. Well, it kind of is. I mean, I remember the old DeLoreans. I've seen a few of those. The stainless steel cars. I've actually seen them and gotten inside of DeLoreans. They're kind of neat. Oh, that stuff costs money. I don't want to use that. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get honored today. Well, I guess I could keep doing this, but I don't think I'm going to get enough rep. Here, can I scan this? Well, apparently not. Here, we'll try scanning this. But I still think it's neat. And for $40,000, it's really not bad. The only downside is that it's an electric vehicle. So you can't really, you know, take it on really long trips. Did George Foreman try to come back for you? I think I remember hearing that too, because I know he came back when he was like in his early 40s. When he was like 44 or something, he came back and actually won the championship again. But I think he's like well into his 60s now, and nobody in their right mind would grant him a license to box. So he may have said, yeah, I want to come back, but everybody's like, no, we're not going to give you a license. Sorry, sir. We're not going to let you do that. I mean, I sure as hell wouldn't give a 68-year-old man a license to box. That's just... It's kind of just asking for trouble, man. I know they did it in Rocky. Muhammad Ali is dead. Yeah, he died a few years ago. It was, you know, it was a combination of old age and a complication from all his years of boxing. In fact, let me check the date. It's been a few years. June 3rd, 2016. So it's been 3 years. Oh, Roy Jones Jr. Again, in his prime, he was a great boxer. But once he lost to Antonio Tarver, his whole career just changed. Everything changed. Did you ever see that Antonio Tarver-Roy Jones fight? I saw it. I got lucky. I got to see it live. I didn't have to pay for it either. I just went to my friend's house. But yeah, saw it live, and he looked decent. He looked okay for the first couple of rounds, but then it just something, I don't know what it was. He just started looking slow, and then Antonio Tarver just smashed him, and he went down hard. He went down so hard that he actually hit the back of his head on the mat, and he was out. He was gone. He wasn't getting up, and he lost that match. And I remember it was a big, huge upset because Antonio Tarver had been talking a lot of trash to Roy Jones because they had a match before, and Roy had won it, But Antonio's like, no, man, it's not a real match, not a real match. He wanted a rematch, so this was the rematch. And when Antonio knocked him out, it was like, see, I told you I was going to knock him out. It was pretty amazing. But after that, Jones was never the same. He was not the same fighter. He seemed a little slower, like he wasn't really all there. Even in some of the other matches where he tried to do his comebacks, he looked fairly crisp the first couple of rounds, but then after that, it's like something just turned off. And he just wasn't the same person. And that happens sometimes. Sometimes when there was another fighter named Mickey Ward. You ever heard of that dude? Mickey Ward became famous because he had some absolutely amazing fights with Arturo Gatti. They had 3 matches, 3 fights, all of them absolute classics. If you've never seen Arturo Gatti versus Mickey Ward 1 through 3, and you're a boxing fan, go watch those fights. Those fights are amazing. They are amazing fights. But the thing is, and Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward, they were both hardcore warriors. They had that never say die thing about them. And you could tell in the way that they fought. Like, they could get getting their butt kicked, just like bam, 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 taking shot after shot, but they just would not go down. They just would stay there. And they would just fight and fight and fight, and they would trade punches and just never give up. Well, after 3 fights of that, Mickey Ward, you could tell just by looking at him that there was something really wrong with him. That a part of him was gone. And I remember they did an interview with his wife, who had been there, before he got those big fights and then after. And even she said, she's like, yeah, he's a different person. He's not the same Mickey that I knew. She even says that sometimes he'll just sit there and he'll stare off into space, and it's like you can't get him back. It's like he can't snap back to reality. Like a part of it, that's the thing. When you take that many shots to the head, parts of you just start going out the window, man. And that's what happened to him. And it started happening to Arturo Gatti, too. Because he'd been not only in those Mickey Ward fights, but he'd had other huge battles with other boxers. And that started happening to him, too. Adrian Broner, Psycho Boxing trying to be like Mayweather. That name sounds familiar. I don't think I've ever seen him fight, but that name sounds familiar. But you could probably find Arturo Gatti and the Mickey Ward fights on YouTube. I'm pretty sure somebody has them there. But those fights, they're amazing. Like people who buy pay-per-view. I mean, when you buy a pay-per-view fight, I don't know if y'all have ever done it, but generally it's not just one fight. You usually get a whole bunch of fights. You get the undercard too. And I remember one of the fights that I bought was an Oscar De La Hoya fight. He was the main event, but there were like 6 fights in the undercard. So yeah, whenever you buy them, you get a ton of you get what you pay for. I paid like $50-$60 for it, but there were a lot of fights, and all the fights were good. But yeah, even if that fight, any of those 3 fights between those 2 were the only thing you were paying for, you still would have felt like you got your money's worth. That's how good those fights are. They're hardcore, they're brutal, they're fast. They're just, I don't know, man. For any boxing fan, they are just amazing. AB, all about billions. The only AB I know is Antonio Brown. And he's not even in football right now. He's in a quasi-retirement. I've not really watched a lot of boxing lately. I have Showtime, and they have that one show that they have called Showbox, where they generally put on a bunch of upcoming fighters. Female got her ear knocked off. Oh, I heard about that. Where it was literally like it looked like a bloody piece of flesh that was just like hanging off of her head. I saw that. I didn't see the fight itself, but I saw like the clips and stuff, and I was like, ooh, that's brutal. And that happens sometimes, especially in the UFC fights, man. That's how people get the cauliflower ear. You ever look at those fighters and their ear looks kind of weird, looks kind of puffy and funky? That's called cauliflower ear. And that's what happens to them. And unfortunately, sometimes as you get into more fights and it becomes more and more engorged and deformed, whenever you're doing any of these fights, it makes it much easier for it to get caught. Like if somebody's got you in a headlock or something, and it just comes right, it can rip it right off. It's kind of gross, but that's part of fighting. Like, what's his name? Oh gosh, that one UFC fighter that was in that movie with Sylvester Stallone, The Expendables. What was his name? Oh, I forget his name. I can see his face. I just can't remember his name. But if you go look at that movie and you see him in there, take a look at his ears. In fact, they comment on it in the movie about his ears because he's got cauliflower ears. Punch you in the ear. Dude, a straight punch in the ear actually really hurts. Like if they get you good, you're gonna have some major ear ringing, and it just hurts because you can literally feel your ear getting bigger and getting engorged with blood, and then you can actually feel your pulse in your ear. It's weird. That's another one of those things that I learned in boxing that I don't really want to. I don't want to get back into doing. Yeah, I've been punched in the ear a few times, been punched in the liver a few times, in the kidney. A good kidney punch, you're gone, dude. I don't care how big and how tough you are. If somebody gets a good, solid kidney punch, you're going to go down. Again, I don't care. Because I've taken one, too. I took one, I think I was like 13 years old, and I took a kidney punch. And it's weird what it does to you. It doesn't really hurt, but for some reason, it just takes your legs from you. It's like you feel it, and then like a second later, your legs just go, and you're like, what in the world? And you try to get up, but your legs just won't let you. It's a really weird, odd feeling. Yeah, if somebody gets you with a kidney punch, dude, it's not your decision to go down. Your body's just saying, nope, we're not getting up. Same thing with a liver punch. A liver punch hurts more. You feel it more, and it's almost like the worst stomach ache. Like, this is the way I think of it. Think of the worst stomach ache that you've ever had in your life, and that's how bad it hurts. And it doubles you over, man. A good solid liver shot that really gets in there, it's gonna double you over, and it's gonna hurt like hell. Yeah, if you can somehow get up from a really clean kidney punch, bravo to you, man. Because that's rough. Ask any boxer. When they take a kidney punch, it's like, oh, crap. Yeah, I'm sure there are guys out there that are tough enough to be able to do it, but they are few and far between, man. That kidney punch hurts. Well, not really hurts, but it takes you out. The liver punch is the one that really hurts. Yep, that happens. That's exactly what I was saying. Brock Lesnar, biggest dude. I mean, Brock's a big dude. He's huge. Takes a kidney shot. That's what I mean, man. It doesn't matter how big you are. You take a kidney shot, it's gonna hurt. You're gonna feel it. That's how it is, man. There are certain things, and that's one of the things I learned in boxing. Because, like my nieces and nephews, they didn't do boxing, but they did jiu-jitsu. So if they need to, they know how to hurt somebody. To, like, say, for instance, if they're getting picked on or something and somebody tries to fight them, they know how to take somebody down and put them out by getting them, like, in a little semi-chokehold, or know how to get them to tap by, getting them in, like, an arm bar, like a really strong arm bar. I didn't learn any of that. I learned just how to put people down, because in boxing, that's the whole thing. You just want to put somebody down on the canvas. And so you learn, how to guard and where exactly to punch them, and do you want to have like an upward swing, or do you want to go around, that sort of stuff. So yeah, if you're able to pull off a really good kidney shot, I don't care who it is that you're fighting, man. As long as you have a decent amount of strength in it, you're gonna put them down. Because that's all you really need. You can be a small person, but as long as you get somebody with a good, solid kidney shot, they're going to go down. I can't say that I blame him, man. Yeah, I want to go watch it now too, but I can't because then I'll get tagged on YouTube. But yeah, man, in fact, there's another fight. It was Oscar De La Hoya versus, I don't remember the guy that beat him, but they got Oscar with a perfect liver shot, and Oscar just went down, and he was pissed. He was hurting, you could tell, but he couldn't get up. I mean, he was down for the count of 10. I mean, he was up and he was moving around and stuff, but he just couldn't bring himself to get back on his feet. And he was so mad because he was like, God dang it. And he even said in the post-fight interview, he was like, yeah, he got me. It was a perfect liver shot and just couldn't get up. And he knew it. He knew it. And I thought that was, it was good of him to acknowledge the fact that he got bested like that. Because most fighters would, trash talk and that sort of stuff. But, man, that was pretty cool. And it really was a good shot. I remember seeing it and I was like, oh, that's going to hurt. Yeah, there have been a few times where I've seen some really good liver shots and kidney shots. What? You hit your nephew in the throat and he been sleep? What do you mean? What do you mean been sleep? Did you kill him? I'm saying that as a joke because I have to assume you're joking. Because if you're not joking, that's just wrong. In boxing, though, you don't generally get hit with a throat shot. If you're trained properly, you will almost never take a throat shot. Because anybody that knows how to train somebody in boxing, one of the first things they will generally tend to get you to do, or at least train you to do, is to keep your chin in. Because the last thing you want to do is stick your chin out, because if somebody tags you on your chin, you're going to go down. So they usually tell you to kind of tuck your chin in a little bit and kind of face your head down slightly and kind of look up a little bit to your target. So as long as your chin is down like that, generally your throat is pretty protected. So yeah, it's pretty rare that anybody in boxing is going to get tagged in the throat, unless their guard is severely down or they're, doing all that crazy stuff that some of these boxers do, where they're just kind of lazing about and not really trying. And yeah, that's one of the big things. If you're not exceptionally powerful, like if you're not like a Mike Tyson who could go and just knock somebody's block right off. Because I mean, if you think of it, Mike wasn't a big dude. He wasn't. He's only like, I think he was like 5'11", like 5'10", 5'11". He wasn't a tall man, but he put a lot of power in a small package. And so because he had that power, he was able to just go in and knock people's blocks off. But a lot of people who are smaller like that don't generally tend to have a lot of power. Like if you look at somebody like Floyd Mayweather, he doesn't knock a lot of guys out. I mean, he has, but for the most part, he's not going to knock somebody out. And so he generally goes, in his case, he goes for defense. He's a more defensive fighter. Some other fighters, though, they will try to develop a really good body game, where they'll constantly go to the body. They'll hit you in the ribs. Like they'll just work on your ribs over and over again, not let your opponent breathe. It makes it hard for them. So, if somebody's in there and they're punching you in the ribs constantly for 5-6 rounds, by the time that 7th round comes around, you're going to be tired and you're going to be aching badly. That's why a good body game is really good. But some people like to go for the head a lot. So. But yeah, good body game is always good. I don't know, man. It depends on where in the throat. Like if they hit you right in the trachea, that's going to be hard to recover from. Again, because, and this is why I say it's really important to keep your chin down. To kind of protect not only your chin, but your throat. Because imagine a 200-pound man, even with boxing gloves on, coming and just popping you right in the trachea, full force. Not only is it going to hurt, it's very, very possible that he is going to sever your trachea. And that can be deadly. You can literally die from that. Because what will happen is it'll sever your trachea, you'll start bleeding internally, you'll start swallowing your own blood, you'll start breathing your own blood, and you can literally die from that. So, yeah. It can be, if they just hit you like on the side of the neck or something, you can usually recover from that. But if they hit you right in the trachea, oh gosh, forget it, dude. It's not going to happen. You're done. Used to hold the pulse by the neck and fall out for 10 seconds. Like a chokehold? Well, you wouldn't want to take a punch to the trachea from any professional fighter. Even somebody that's not exceptionally powerful, you wouldn't. Because any pro fighter, like a pro level fighter, even though they may not be considered a knockout fighter, they can still throw a solid punch. And a solid punch to the trachea, that's going to hurt. I don't care who it's from. It can be from a flyweight. You ever seen the flyweights? The flyweights are generally really small men and women. And I think the last time I saw a flyweight fight, the guy was like 5'5" and weighed like 115 pounds. He was a small man. But, again, when you're properly trained on how to throw punches, you can still cause some real damage, man. Yeah, Pac's a small guy, but he's not as small as some of the others. Like the first time I remember seeing him fighting, I think was in welterweight, or the weight right below that. I think that's what it was in welterweight. Because he's not a big dude. He's only like 5'6", 5'7". He's not very tall. I gotta look that up now. Let me take a look. Let me see. He's not a very tall dude. Oh yeah, he's 5'5", so he's short. 146 pounds is his weight right now on Wikipedia, but he's gone up and down in the various weight divisions. But yeah, he's not a big dude, but again, it's just one of those things where he's a small guy, but if you're properly trained and you know what you're doing, they can knock you out. Yeah, he's small, man. Pretty much anybody that was in welterweight is generally going to be a smaller guy. Like the tallest welterweight I've ever seen has been like 5'10". And even then it looked a little weird because compared to a regular welterweight, he looked really tall, so he was quite thin. When the guy probably should have been, a little higher up as far as his weight division. Let's see, do I want to do this? I kind of want to do this so I can try to push. Yeah, let's do this. I know what you're talking about, Dre. You can take your pulse on your neck. Well, it's kind of weird because the place you generally want to do to check it is kind of right in the crick of where your throat meets your head. It's kind of in there, and that's where you can check your pulse. But I kind of think what you're getting at, because I remember when I was younger, there was something. It wasn't called the choking game, as some people call it nowadays, but essentially what people would do is they would purposely hyperventilate for like a good 30 seconds. Then they would take in a big deep breath, and then they would have somebody choke them, and they would pass out. And I remember that. I was like, and I was actually around a couple of times when people were doing that, and people were like, "Let me do it to you," and I'm like, "No, I'm good. No, it's okay. No one's gonna. No, I'm good. Thanks, man. I'm good." I've never seen that. Never did it myself. Saw people do it. I'm like, you want to do it? That's up to you, man. I'm not gonna do it though. Yeah, the pass out thing. Yeah, I was never into that stuff. That stuff seemed kind of dangerous to me. You never want to force yourself to pass out. You just don't. Now when you're like, hey, I should do that. No. Don't. Oh, I think I'm going to pull this lurker. Yep, there he is. No, Moni, don't try it. Don't. That stuff can be a little dangerous. In fact, I think I remember the reason why I remember them calling it the choking game nowadays. If I'm not mistaken, I believe some kid actually ended up in a coma because they tried it. Like they went and they did it and they passed out and they never woke up. And after a while, their friends were like, "Oh crap, we should probably call for help." And so they did. I mean, the person was alive. They were still breathing and everything, but they had lost consciousness. And so they ended up having to call for help, and they were in a coma for a while, I think, for like a couple of days. It's crazy, man. Don't be doing that crazy stuff. How much do I need? I'm so close. I need 160 rep. Oh, I know where to get it. That's why I was saving this one quest. Boil burn. Somebody activated his drill. I think boil burn's right here, isn't it? No. Oh, he's over here. Boil burn's over here. Oh, we had a problem with that over in Austin a couple of different times. There was some kids, and they weren't throwing just rocks, they were throwing bricks. they apparently what they were doing is there are certain parts of I-35 in Austin that are actually really accessible even to pedestrians. You shouldn't cross it. You're not supposed to, but you can kind of get up in that area. And they were doing that. Some kids were getting up in that area, and they started throwing bricks at people as they were in their car. And eventually they ended up killing a woman. I think it was a woman. I think it was, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a woman. And the saddest part about it, not that, just her death was sad to begin with, the saddest part about it is that she was in the car with her kids. And her kids saw her die. And I remember hearing that, something like that, and I was like, God, that's horrible. That's just so horrible. Small glimmer of light from that whole situation, they did end up catching them. I don't know what happened to them afterward, though. But yeah, I remember that was a big story. And it was during a time when I wasn't living in Austin at the time. I had already moved away. But I was driving up there a lot to help my brother with his business. And I remember driving on 35 thinking, please don't throw a frickin' brick at my car. Please don't do that to me. I don't need that. But yeah.
I must get closer. Too far away.
Yeah, there have been people who've done stupid stuff. Like, even when we were kids, one thing that we did when we were kids, well, actually, I can't say that I did it. I was there, so I guess you could say I was an accomplice. But some people from the neighborhood had this brilliant idea to get some fishing line and tie a lock, like a padlock, in the middle of this fishing line and then run it in between a street. Like, they would tie it like to a stop sign and then to another sign on the end, and then put the padlock right there in the middle where cars would go. And they did that, and so they would set it up, and then of course they'd go and they'd hide behind a bush or something and they'd wait. And so cars would come flying by and BAM! Padlock right into the car. It didn't, I don't remember it hitting a windshield, but it did cause some damage to the grill. But yeah, I knew those kids, and I saw them setting it up, and I was like, It's kind of one of those things where you know it's going to end badly, but you just can't look away. You ever run across the freeway with your eyes closed back and FWD? That sounds like Red Rover, man. Yeah, they used to call that Red Rover. I don't think they ever did it with their eyes closed, but B-spot's up. Yeah, I never saw anybody do it with their eyes closed, but there was a game like that back in the day too. It was called Red Rover. Like, the whole way that the game used to be played, it'd be like there would be two people, or not two people, but there would be several people on either side of the freeway, and they would take turns and they'd say, Red Rover, Red Rover, let so-and-so come over. And so the person who was called had to traverse the freeway, and it was usually when freeways were really busy. So it was a little scary, a little frightening, really stupid. Konami actually made Frogger. Yes, they did. I miss Frogger. Frogger was such a simple game, but so fun. Of course, now if they remade it, it'd be nothing but, microtransactions. Here, make your frog boo! That'll cost you $5. Throw eggs at cop cars and run. Well, the whole egg thing is, again, that's one of those things that kids have been doing for years. One thing that I remember my brother's friends doing when they were kids, and I never realized how stupid it was until I became an adult, is they would go to a friend's house of his, which was just down the street, and they would rip the roof apart on the house. Like the shingles and stuff, the stuff they keep down to keep the water out of your house. They would rip those off, like pieces of them, like big chunks of them that were maybe the size of your hand, and they'd wait for cars to drive by, and they would fling them at the cars. And they would hit cars all the time. And it's doubly stupid because, first of all, you're ruining the roof. You're ruining your own roof. And then on top of that, you're hitting cars with roof tiles. And it doesn't take a genius to look at a roof tile and think, where did this one come from? Because the roof, at least then, back in the day, the roofs were all different. It's like some of them had like a darker black color, some were kind of like a grayish color, others were actually steel roofs, that kind of thing. So it didn't take a long time for the cops to figure out who was throwing, where the tiles were coming from. So yeah, that didn't end well for them. But that was really stupid. Another thing that they used to do was the dog poop in the flaming bag. Did y'all ever do that? I never did it. I heard a friend of mine did it, but I never actually saw somebody do it. Where they would go and take a bag of like dog poop, and they would light it on fire and then ring the doorbell a lot and then just run off. And the person would come out, and of course they see this thing on fire in front of them, and so what do they do? Oh my god, I gotta put it out! So they'd stomp it out, and they'd end up with dog poop on their shoe or foot, whatever. It's really stupid. I did toilet paper some houses when I was in high school, but that was usually as a senior prank. Did y'all ever have senior days or senior prank day or senior skip day, that kind of stuff? Like at our school, we would do like senior prank, and so we tried to keep our pranks usually fairly benign, nothing really too serious. So we would just go in like toilet paper houses, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's annoying, but it doesn't really hurt anything. There was another one that I saw recently where, and this one was actually pretty funny, a little more annoying, but it was pretty funny. There was, what was it? I think this was for senior prank day too, is they went to a teacher's house and they bought thousands of plastic forks. The ones you buy in like bundles of like 100 or something, like for picnics, that kind of thing, the disposable forks. And they bought several thousand of them, and they went to the teacher's yard and they put forks all over her yard. And I'm talking like thousands of forks. It was a group of people, so it didn't take that long. But they put them in with the little forks facing up. And so the teacher comes out in the morning and their entire yard is full of these plastic forks. Not just thrown there, but literally stuck in the dirt facing up. And I thought that was... I can understand that it was annoying, but it was also pretty damn funny. I thought it was funny as hell. Well, I don't think it would be that expensive, because you can buy like those cheap plastic forks for what is it, like $1 for like 100 of them or something. They're not that expensive. So I guess if you get like 5 friends and you each buy a couple of boxes, probably do it pretty easy. But yeah, that was that was pretty funny. Oh, one other thing a friend of mine did. I don't want to say I helped them, but I was there for the ride. We actually went fishing one night. when I was like 18. That was one of our things for a while. For like a good year, we would go fishing like every other weekend because we live, like me, even now I live like right by the ocean. So we just get our fishing poles and we go fish. And sometimes the catching would be good, and other times it would, but sometimes we'd get a few good fish. Most of the time we would throw them back though, but this one time our friends like, no, I'm going to keep this one. I'm keeping this one because it was a good sized fish. And we're like, oh, well, I mean, if you take it home and fillet it, whatever, and eat it, that's fine. But after we got done fishing, it was like 4:30 in the morning, and we got done fishing. He's like, and we get in the car and we're heading home. He's like, I don't really want this fish anymore. And we're like, what? He's like, I don't want the fish. We're like, dude, man, we tried to convince you to throw it back, and you're like, no, I'm going to cook it. So he's like, no, I know what to do with it. And we're like, what? He's like, go over in this area. So he told us someplace in this neighborhood that wasn't too far away. And he's like, hold on. So he gets out, and he grabs the fish from the back of the truck. We were in a truck. And he goes and he sticks the fish in this mailbox. And we're like, what the hell? And he runs back. He's like, okay, go. We're like, what did you just do, man? He's like, I stuck a fish in a mailbox. And we're like, do you even know those people? He's like, yeah, it's my ex-girlfriend. So he basically stuck a fish in the mailbox of his ex-girlfriend. I was like, dude, really? we all kind of laughed about it. It was pretty funny. But yeah, he didn't know to do the damn fish, so he just gave it to somebody. In middle school, our plastic forks and spoons got banned. We used to play breaks with them. Is that like breaks? Is that like what we used to do with our pencils? We do pencil fight. You know what pencil fight is? It sounds like it would be something like pencil fight. Yeah, our teachers hated pencil fight so much. I still remember that one rule: no tapping. It doesn't do anything. It didn't matter. No tapping. Wow, that's amazing. I got 2 of those fish at once. Wow, these are the rare fish in this area. And I got 2 of them at one time. That's amazing. But yeah, pencil fight. I remember pencil fight. I don't remember. We never did it with plastic spoons because when I was at least when I was in elementary and in middle school, we didn't use plastic spoons. We used actual stainless steel, which is a good idea because can you imagine thousands of plastic forks and spoons and knives every single day? No, we used stainless steel. Even our trays were reusable. I was never really good at pencil fight. Mostly because, unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of money. And so my mom would always have to buy us like the cheaper pencils, the one that were like plastic. You know what I'm talking about? They weren't the wooden ones. The wooden ones were always a little bit more expensive. Whereas you could get like a pack of the plastic ones, like a pack of 10 for like 50 cents. But the wooden ones were like 70 cents. But, again, we didn't have a lot of money, so just bought what you could afford. And so with the plastic ones, unfortunately, you couldn't really put a lot of pressure on them, and they would snap really easily. Hit somebody's hand. Oh, yeah, the occasional... Like, if you had a really small pencil, it occasionally hit somebody's thumb or something. Ugh. I got smacked in the thumb a few times. I hated it. It hurt so much. Or one other thing we used to do with our pens is whenever we would get a new pen, we would take the top off and then we'd flick off the little holder on the top of the pen. You always hit some girl off like in the second row or something and piss her off. Moni's taking notes. He's like, dude, I gotta try all this. Don't. Some of the stuff is pretty harmless. Others, other stuff you don't want to do. Let me go turn in this one real quick, and then we'll go back to the fishing lady. Oh, there was another game that we played that was... They actually... I don't want to say it was banned, but the teachers really did not like us playing it. It was a game called Pitching Pennies. And in Pitching Pennies, there was like this little section of the school right near the front doors where it looked like you could put like some flowers or gardening or whatever, but nobody ever did anything with it. So it was like this little plot of dirt that was right up against the brick building. And it was really fine dirt, and it was in a position or in a section that was covered. So even when it was raining, it wouldn't... oops, hit my mic there. So even when it was raining, it wouldn't get wet. So it was always really dry. And we would play that Pitching Pennies game where there would be two players, each one with a penny, and you would purposely toss the penny at the brick wall and then have it land there on the dirt. And then your opponent would then do the same thing. And whose penny was closest to the wall without touching it would win, and they would get both pennies. So it was kind of like gambling, which is why they didn't like it. We remember the rich kids, the quote-unquote rich kids, used to do them with dimes. We were like, no, we're just going to stick with the pennies. I mean, because if you lose a couple of pennies, it was a big deal. Even if you're 8 and you lose a couple of pennies, you're like, eh. Rubber band slingshot. Yes, we did that too. We also played football, the little footballs that we would make out of paper, and then we'd do the little field goals. We did that too. And now I'm thinking of all those really ridiculous games we used to play in school. Let me think, what else was there? Can't really think of anything else. I guess I'll have to have something that triggers my memory, I don't know. Yeah, those are the big ones that I remember. Speaking of rubber bands, did you know now that you can buy a rubber band minigun? Like seriously, it's a minigun, but it shoots rubber bands. It's expensive. I think, if I remember correctly, it was like $250. But it's made out of wood. It's really nice quality too. And it's, in fact, let me see if I can find it. I'll actually post it in Discord. Let me see, a rubber band minigun. Oh, it's on Kickstarter. Check this thing out. Here, I'll put it in Discord. This thing is amazing. If it wasn't so expensive, let me see. Did it actually have the price here? Oh, this one's only $100. Wow. Yeah, pledge US $94 or more, and you get the super early bird version. It looks like this is a wooden one. It looks really nice. Here, I keep talking about it. Let me link it. There we go. I linked it over in Discord in case y'all want to look at it. But yeah, that thing looks awesome. And yeah, I guess it takes time to load up all the rubber bands, obviously. But once it's loaded and you're ready to go, fully automatic, made from wood with special design mechanism that allows you to load it in a matter of minutes. And look at how many backers. Almost 3,000 backers and $316,000 in pledges. Put your head down on the... Oh, and figure out who it was. We used to have one... I forget exactly how it worked, but it was like called the Thumbs game or something, or Thumbs Up or something, where you would put your head down and cover your head, and you would put your thumb up like that, and somebody would come down and put your thumb into your hand, and then you would have to guess who it was. I forget how it worked exactly, but... I kind of remember it. Oh, come on. How is... Ugh. Look how close I am. I need 17 more rep. Well, at least I've got this quest I can do. Yeah, that game was boring. I didn't like that game. It doesn't sound right. I think it was called Thumbs Up. I'm pretty sure that's what it was called. I sincerely don't remember exactly how it worked, though. I do remember it, though. Nullifier, where are you? Oh, the nullifier. Never mind, I'm not gonna mess with nullifier right now. I think once I get this rep, I'm probably gonna do a heroic, because why not? But yeah, if I had $100 just to throw away, I'd probably get that little minigun. Sardines on your plate, and I don't want no steak. What is that? Is that like, sounds like lyrics. My grandfather used to eat sardines. Straight out of the can. You just crack it and just start munching them. I couldn't get over the smell. They were very pungent. But I only ever saw him like really eating them like twice. A kid song back in the day in your school. Thinking, who wants sardines, man? Take a steak any day over a sardine. Alright, come on, this should get me honored. Hooray! We're now honored. I'll do this one tomorrow, because I just killed the rare that comes with it. Let me go spend a bunch of money. Do I have the money? Yeah, I do. Oh wow, Nullifier's still there. Have they gone? Okay, they're still fighting him. Ah, screw it. We'll kill him. Yep. Oh, nice, and got another one of these. Although I prefer a galvanic oscillator. Speaking of which, I don't know if I'll have enough. Crap, I may not have enough. That's gonna suck. If I don't have enough oscillators. I mean, I can make one, but it'll cost me. Let me see. There we go. This is what I want. Could turn this in. That thing cost me almost 2,000 gold. Are you serious? That's funny. And their dances and then take the money. You're probably like, who ratted me out? Wait, I've only got one of these? I could have swore I had more of those. Oh no.
Processing.
Because I need 5 of them. I didn't spend any. Well, I don't even have enough energy cells anyway. Well, that sucks. I could probably get a bunch of them if I did Mechagon, the Mechagon instance, but that place is kind of hard. Well, crap. Yeah, I can't get any more energy cells today. Well, I guess the rep's done. At least I could feel, well, the rep's done. I just gotta go get more stuff. Sell that.
Thank you for your patronage.
Friggin' title cores that I have no use for. Oh man, I gotta blow my nose. Let me mute myself real quick so I can do this. Oh, that's a little better. Man. Let's see. Oh, we got some food. Got some gourmet pumpkin pie. Oh, you went to Rosa Parks Middle School? I actually went to a school called Winseal. And if I remember correctly, it used to be, I think it used to be a church. In fact, it's considered a historical site now because the building itself has been around since like the early 1900s or something. I forget exactly what it was, but I'm pretty sure it used to be a church. Yeah, man. See, I'm streaming. To be telling me, oh, you don't stream no more. I'm streaming. I'm here. I'm about to go do heroic, man. If only it would offer me the dang bag. I like doing it when it offers me the bag because that's an extra 1,000 gold. But I'll do one here. My luck, I'll actually get one of the harder ones. I don't like doing mythics on this character because I still don't have a lot of confidence in my ability to heal really well with this character. So I'm still avoiding mythics. Plus, I don't really have the gear for mythics. I think once I hit like 4 or 5, I'll probably start doing mythics. That's why I wanted to make that device that I was messing around with earlier, because my rings are a little short on power. So if I could get like a 410 ring to replace that, that'd be really nice. Trinkets are decent. Weapon is decent. Shield could be a little better. Pretty much anything that's not 400 could be better. How long is my weight? It didn't even tell me how long my weight was. That's not saying. Even as a healer, I have to wait. But yeah, I'm still a little unsure of myself as a healer on this character. On Shaman, forget it. I'll heal the hell out of that group. I'll do mythics on my Shaman, but not on this thing. The healing with a paladin is just... I mean, I know y'all aren't big into WoW, but I mean, if you're raiding like dungeons and raids, a holy paladin, which this character is, they're not the best healers when it comes to PvE content. Now in PvP, they're really good because their heals take a little bit of time to cast, but when you do get a heal off, they're big heals. Like a lot of times my crits with my heals here will be like, 50 or 55,000, which is a lot. And that's because my gear isn't even that good yet. But yeah, once you're really geared and do PvP, oh man. Holy Paladins are one-on-one. A Holy Paladin is basically unkillable in PvP. What new games you streaming for 2020? None. I'm not really even looking forward to any new games in the new year. The only one that I think I might be interested is, what is it, Cyberpunk 2077? Might do that one. I thought about doing Outer Worlds, but I was like, I don't know. I almost want to play Star Trek again, but there really aren't a lot of fans of that game. Like, there's a good chunk of people that play the game, but that's the thing, they play it. They don't necessarily like watching somebody play it. But Star Trek's okay. It's actually a pretty decent game considering it's a free-to-play. Of course, I haven't played it much in the last, year and a half. I know somebody who was it that kept saying Uno? I'm like, they're doing Uno. Excuse me. Yeah, that's why I'm kind of glad that I didn't start streaming Pokemon, because there are a lot of adult Pokemon players, but you just know that people are gonna be like, that's a kid's game. You're obviously streaming for children. So yeah. Good thing I didn't get into that, because I actually, like I said, I had never played Pokemon until I played it a couple months ago. It was okay. It was actually kind of fun. And I thought about streaming it, but then I was like, I don't want to draw in even a younger crowd. Come to see, it's a good thing I didn't. Yeah, because that's dangerous territory now. I guess I could go back to Elwyn if I wanted to. I've already been to the Darkmoon Fair. Well, actually, I could go back to the fair and get the buff again. Well, the thing is, Duel Links, if I'm not mistaken, it's rated T, isn't it? I think it's rated T. So it isn't necessarily like young children. So the argument could be made that, well, they're not exactly children. I guess if you go by the book, technically they're children, but I wouldn't really consider a 17-year-old a child. They're not necessarily an adult yet, but they're definitely not, they're not nearly in the same league with like an 8-year-old kid. Guess while I'm waiting, I can see about changing what my shield looks like. Because my shield looks terrible. Which shield should I use? Here, let me zoom in a little bit. That's what it looks like right now. I think that shield actually looks kind of neat. That looks really nice, but it doesn't really match with what I got. I'm just changing the shield. I'm not doing anything else with it. These are some of the newer shields too. Oh, Maw of Souls. That's cool looking. Well, that's weird looking. New cartoon animation characters. Ugh. That's so stupid because more than half of anime out there is for adults. It's so dumb. Like, there are a ton of anime that I would not let kids watch. Like, heck, I wouldn't let them watch stuff like Death Note. That is not a kid's anime. Definitely not. But I guess there's still that old thing of, oh, cartoons are for kids, even though, we've had The Simpsons for 30 years now, and they're obviously not directed toward children. I'm pretty sure some kids watch, but they're not directed toward kids. I don't really have that many interesting looking shields. That one's kind of neat. Ooh, I like that color. Everybody's changing to Twitch. Well, I don't know. Twitch has its own downsides too. A lot of people have left Twitch too. Ever since what's the name that guy Ninja? He left, and he went over to Mixer, and then like 2 other big Twitch people followed him. Like he went, and then like a month later, 2 more people went. They weren't as big as he was, but they were still apparently relatively well known. So yeah, people are kind of seeing that. I don't know. The thing about Twitch is they do not apply their rules the way that they're supposed to at all. Again, it's one of those things where if you make them a lot of money, they're usually willing to overlook certain infractions. But if you're on the low end of the totem pole and you do something wrong, you're gone. They just kick you, or they'll immediately ban you. Like that one woman, I forget her name again, Asmarath or Amo something, I forget her name. She's one of the bigger female Twitch streamers, and she says she Twitches games, and she says she does the ASMR stuff, but it's mostly her dressing up kind of half naked and just basically doing things on the camera for people to look at, if you know what I mean. Nothing generally against the rules, but, you know. And I have nothing against what she does, but still. But the point I'm making here is that because she makes them a lot of money, that one thing that she did that she got herself banned for, if anybody else would have done what she did, they would have gotten a permanent ban. Her, I think she got like a 3-day ban. That was that. Because she makes them so much money. And I get that too. I get why they don't ban her, because why would you dump somebody who's making, tens of thousands of dollars for you a month? But at the same time, it really, it makes it seem incredibly unfair to everybody else. Because again, if I were to go and do something what she did, I'd be gone. If any of us would go and do what she did, we'd be gone. But not her. It's all about money. Come on, man, jump. I didn't see any shields in there. I'm just going to leave it. Twitch signed Nick from Fortnite. Who's that? I don't even know who that is. For $100 million? That seems like a lot of money. I get that some of these streamers make good money and they make a lot of money for these services, but $100 million? That seems like a lot. I don't even think Ninja got anywhere near that when he went to Mixer. I think he got something like 10 million when he went to Mixer, which is still a lot of money. But let's be honest, 10 million and 100 million, that's very different money, man. I don't see it. I mean, he would have to do a lot for Twitch to get, to have a good, return on their investment there. The guy would literally have to have, tens of thousands of viewers every single show, and all of them buying the bits and stuff, and constantly buying their services. I don't know, man. That seems like a lot of money. Seems like a bit too much. It's Erebus and Red. I see these people here every day. Every freaking day they're here. Let's see, who else is there? Ghostified, don't know them, don't know them. That's a troll. Elo. I know her, she's offline actually. She's actually a very nice woman. She's from Florida. Let's see, who else is here? This person, I'm not a fan of him. Bella Olivia. Oh, I feel so bad for that girl. And she actually is a girl. She's like this really young girl. She's like 13 years old, and apparently her family is really... They're not nice to her, I'll just say that. Jaren's cool. He's a nice guy. Hey, we finally got the pop. All right, let's do some dungeons here. Nick A30. Who is Nick A30? What's this one? Oh, okay, I remember this one. This is the water one. This is the one where people just immediately die for no reason. At least we have an overgeared tank. Where's my... get my little flask going. Some groups have been like, why do you even use that flask? I'm like, dude, I have them. What am I going to do? Just sell them. Why am I going to sell them? Nobody buys them. It's like a really old flask. Look, it requires level 75. It's from a while back, but it still offers some benefits. So I use it. Because like I said, no one ever buys them, so I might as well just use it. Let me see. I'm probably gonna have to keep an eye on this one. Oh, don't get in that water. Oh, wait, how did I become my own beacon of light? I'm not supposed to be beacon light. You're supposed to be the beacon of light. There you are. I hate these stupid water things. I hate them so much. Oh crap, I didn't realize they were immune. This is why I hate them. I hate that little effect. It's so stupid. It really depends. Because you can have 100,000 views, and if your video is not monetized, then it's nothing.
How dare you summon this holy place with your presence? I call upon the surging water.
Yeah, it's not $7,000. I can tell you that. There's a channel called Gamers Nexus. They do a lot of computer hardware reviews and that sort of stuff. And I can tell you right now, he has Steve is the guy who runs it. Him and his team, and they've got a lot of videos that have over 100,000 views. And he's been honest about it. He's like, dude, I don't make nearly a lot of money or as much money as people think they make on their videos. Even with ads, even with the ad revenue, I doubt they make $7,000 a video. Because if they did, they'd be rich beyond their wildest dreams at this point. I got a ring. Nah, non-upgrade. Even then, they don't take 50%. That's not how it works. Oh, somebody's gonna die. Wow, they almost died. That's why I say this is one of those dungeons where someone can die really fast. Especially if they don't have a ton of health like this person. That's not a lot of health for this place. I mean, they can do it, it's just not a lot of health. Would really like to get some new head and shoulder gear. Yep, I'm definitely going to keep an eye on her. She's getting tagged pretty hard here. I don't think she knows that when you get there's an ability that this one right here, carved flesh. When you get, you're supposed to run over here. If you're a tank, you can deal with that, but if you're not, like this guy, see, he almost died there. Yeah, if you're a tank, you can take that, but if you're not a tank, you're going to get nailed really hard. Don't pull that water guy. Please don't pull the water guy. I may actually just have to sit back here and actually just heal. Usually I like throwing my hammer in there. Oh, that tank almost got himself killed. If you've never played WoW, you don't know. Yeah, especially in heroics, tanks tend to get a big head, and they think they're a little bit better than they really are. And so they'll run off like that and just start pulling all kinds of mobs, and then suddenly they're like at 20%, and they're like, oh crap, I might actually die. Oh yeah, this guy's pulling a bunch right now. But he hears I'm right here, so it doesn't matter. Oop, I'm not gonna cast that. There we go. Somebody might die here. Apologize for not talking. I'm actually paying attention here. If I were on my shaman, I could just chat it away and not worry about healing anybody, but like I said, this one I don't have the confidence. Oh, where'd the other one go? There you are. Are you voting in 20? Well, of course. Yeah, I'm gonna vote. I don't. Well, as far as my vote for president, I don't think it'll make a huge difference. Well, it might actually this year, because people are thinking that Texas might actually turn blue this year. That would be pretty amazing. God, I hate it when they do that. He's up on the steps, so he's got a strange angle on me, and so it thinks that I'm LOS. Which is kind of true, I guess. It's a real pain in the ass to heal like that. I think we all hope that. There's a lot of Republicans out there who are like, I really hope he doesn't win. That's why people are thinking that Texas might go blue. Because there are definitely a lot of people who are hardcore Republicans here in Texas. But at the same time, they're like, I don't want to do another 4 years of Trump. And they know that Trump's going to get the nomination. But when nobody's watching, such as when the curtain is closed for the vote, then they will vote for the Democrat. Even if it's a Democrat they don't like, I think they'll vote for them. That's kind of how it's going to be this year, unfortunately. Because there really isn't any candidate right now that I really like. The one that I did like a couple of months ago, Kamala Harris, she would have dropped out because she doesn't have the money to keep her campaign going. And second, I liked her, but then she really started rubbing me the wrong way. Like, her thing was, she even said it herself, she's like, I'm the cool aunt. And I'm thinking, no, you're not. You're not the cool aunt. You're the woman that I don't like talking to because I'm afraid you'll take something the absolute worst way, and then suddenly there's an argument. And it started to become like that. Like, I really wanted to believe in her. I was like, because she's got good experience. She was a prosecutor. And she's an attorney, and she's a senator. So she's got good experience. But just the way that I don't know what it was, man. She just, like I said, for me, she just started rubbing me the wrong way. And it was the same thing with a lot of people that worked for her. There was a news article a couple of days ago where somebody, I think it was one of her campaign managers, quit. This was shortly before she ended her run. Where her campaign manager quit and wrote an open letter to her and said, I have never worked for a political campaign where their people were treated so badly. Apparently, her sister was supposed to be in charge of the campaign, and from what I gather, her sister just wasn't treating the employees very well, or even the volunteers. I don't know exactly what all happened there, but yeah, there were some problems. Because even leading up to her ending the campaign, there was already stuff going wrong. I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was a story about one of her offices in Connecticut, was it, or one of the smaller states up in the Northeast, that pretty much they had to close the entire office because they didn't have money. She couldn't afford to keep anybody on. And so they just ended up closing the office completely. So there was already problems that you could see coming. And then with the whole thing of, you know, her or her sister not treating people right and being, I don't know. And plus, I think plus a lot of donors started moving away from her because of the way she just approached people, the way she kind of, I don't know. There's so many layers to that story. It's just, you know, but I sincerely thought that she was going to be it. I thought, just don't say anything stupid, and you're going to be the nominee, because I really thought she was. You know, she seemed like she had it all together. She was almost born for that moment, and then it just all fell apart. Like some of the other people that are left, like Pete Buttigieg, he seems like a nice guy, but he's got problems too. People were saying that he just doesn't have the wherewithal when it comes to race relations. My meaning of a great president? Kind of hard to say for sure. I mean, everybody's got their own opinion, but I would say think of Bill Clinton without all the affairs. Because Bill Clinton actually did a really good job. He was a really good president. The problem is that he couldn't keep his wang to himself. That was his problem. You know, if you go and you're a philanderer like that, you could be the best leader in the world, but you can't be doing that stuff. You just can't. He really was a great leader. I mean, under him, we actually eliminated our national debt. A lot of people don't remember that. Oh, look, I got this. Nice. Well, it's a slight upgrade at least. But, yeah, he actually did quite a bit. Yes, he rose taxes some. But again, you know, he got us out of debt completely. We actually had a surplus. I think it was back in 1996 or 7. We actually had a surplus, meaning we had excess money. And that's why I thought he actually really was a good president, but he sullied his own reputation by doing all that stupid stuff. So yeah, if we could get somebody that's like Clinton without all the garbage that he brought to the office, that would be pretty good. And I don't care if they're a Republican or a Democrat. I sincerely don't. They could be either, as long as they do the job well. Like Reagan wasn't perfect by any means, but I thought he did a good job, even though he was Republican. I still thought he did a fairly decent... I mean, yeah, he had his share of screw-ups, but every president has their share of screw-ups. You know, it's just a matter of minimizing that. And that's why I was real big on Kamala Harris, because I thought she could do that. But she just... It's the way she approached things. And then some of the stuff about her started coming out. There was a big thing about her. How our country in debt if money gets printed. You know that's not how the economy works. Can't just print money. You can't just print your way out of debt. That's not how it works. I sincerely hope you know that's not how it works. Red Fox. Let's see. Still not offering the bag for heals. Oh man, it's already almost 10 o'clock. I should probably eat dinner. I'll see you all later, dude.